first step is clearing off the existing tabletop so I can start building the base for the craps table. Once everything is cleared off, I turn on the lights and the screen just to get a good look at the surface I'll be working with. This table is going to be the foundation for the entire build, so everything starts here. One important feature is this lip around the edge of the table, which will help support and hold the new base in place. The total length of the table comes in at 95 7/8 inches. The plywood sheet I'm using for the base is a full 96 inches, so it's just slightly too long. That means I need to trim it down and get it clean for an exact fit. Before making any cuts, I take some time to measure and square off the end and make sure everything is accurate. Next, I measure the offset in my circular saw, which is 1 5/8 inches from the base. Using that measurement, I position my straight edge back 1 5/8 inches from the cut line. This lines everything up so the blade and everything follows the exact cut. After making the cut, the base drops right into place. This is exactly what I was aiming for, a clean, snug fit that sits evenly on the table. Getting this step right is important because everything else will be built off this base. Next, I start laying out the design for the curved chip rails that will go in each corner. These rails are from Casino for You, and I'll have their website up on the screen. I will include the link in the description if you want to check them out. These curved sections are what really give the table that classic Casino look. From here, I begin marking out the inside edge of the table walls using 1x3 boards. This line represents where the vertical walls of the table will sit. It's important that these lines stay consistent and square because they determine the overall shape and symmetry of the table. To create the angled corners, I mark out a 45-degree line at each corner. Next, I start laying out the curve for the chip rail. The inner circumference of the rail is 7 3/4 inches, so that is the first circle I need to define. When I measure, I start from the 1-inch mark on the tape instead of 0, which helps eliminate any play in the hook and gives a more accurate measurement. From there, I mark the distance along both edges coming off the corner. This mark gives me a reference points to locate the center of the circle. Once those points are established, I can use them to find the exact center for the point of the curve. To draw the curve, I'm using a 12-inch locking divider. Nothing fancy, just a $9 tool from Harbor Freight, but it gets the job done. With the divider set to the corner radius, I mark out the arc for the corner. Since I only need the corner section, I'm only drawing a 90-degree portion of the circle. From there, I reset the wing divider to lay out the next reference circle. The next circle is set 1 inch larger at 8 3/4 inches, which represents the inside edge of the table wall by about 1 inch. From there, I open the divider up again to 11 3/4 inches, which defines the outside edge of the wall. So now I have 3 reference points, the inner rail, the inside wall edge, and the outside wall edge. All of these are based off the same center point, which keeps everything consistent and symmetrical. Laying it out this way makes it much easier to visualize how the rail will fit together before any cuts are made. At this point, the full corner profile is starting to take shape. With the curves laid out, the next step is to square off the corners where the arcs meet. This helps define exactly where the straight sections of the table will transition into the curved corners. Using a framing square, I extend straight lines from the layout to establish clean, consistent edges. This is important because it gives me a clear reference points for cutting and assembling the walls later on. It also ensures that each corner lines up evenly with the straight sections, keeping the entire table symmetrical. At this point, I can clearly see how the corners and straight runs will come together. With that, the first corner is laid out. Now repeat the same process for the remaining 3 corners. If you're enjoying the build so far, make sure you like and subscribe so you can follow along the process. Around here, structure beats luck. In the next episode, I'll start building out the wall sections and continue shaping the table. Thanks for watching.